Americans have always had a love affair with the automobile. Usually, the bigger, the better. But it is a relationship that comes at a high cost. Surging prices at the gas pump, potentially devastating effects on the environment, and a dependence on foreign oil from unstable countries.
In fact, we find ourselves in a situation where the demand for motor fuels and the demand for oil to make those motor fuels is outstripping our ability to supply it. And that's being reflected in the prices that consumers are paying for gasoline at the pump. Now, there are two major ways that we can solve that problem, if you will. One is through conservation and increased efficiency, and we're doing that. We're making strides. The second is to look for alternatives. And the major alternative we have available to us today is renewable fuels.
One renewable fuel helping to meet our energy needs is ethanol. Made from corn today, cellulose in the future, ethanol is gradually replacing our dependence on foreign oil to fuel our cars.
Ethanol is an extremely cost-effective way for refiners to improve the quality of gasoline. Consumers directly benefit from that. The ethanol industry has also been directly responsible for revitalization of rural America. A new 100 million gallon a year ethanol plant creates about 50 direct new jobs. But when the multiplier effects of all the economic activity created by that plant are considered, the total job creation exceeds 1,000. And in addition to that, the economic activity generates about $50 million of household income for the community as well.
There are more than 130 efficient ethanol biorefineries across the country. They produce more than 7 billion gallons of ethanol a year, and more are planned. The dry milling process of turning corn into ethanol uses the starch in each kernel of corn. The starch is processed, fermented, and distilled into pure ethanol. It is then made undrinkable and shipped out to become part of America's motor fuel. The remaining portion of the corn kernel is converted into a nutrient-rich, high-protein livestock feed called distiller's grains. This valuable co-product is used in beef, cattle, dairy, swine, and poultry production.
Before we built the ethanol plant, there was not a lot of optimism or hope for the future in our community. Our farmer-owned ethanol plant has been a catalyst that sparked an economic renaissance in our community. We're paying taxes on a $60 million investment, and we are creating profits that are going right back to our local investors. The whole concept of the future in our community has been turned around because of our plant.
Ethanol is helping to drive Detroit's automobile industry, too. Manufacturers are producing flex fuel vehicles that use a mix of 85% ethanol and 15% gas. More than 6 million E85 models are on the road today.
Burning ethanol, in particular E85 ethanol, allows us to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. With current corn technology, it's about a 20% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, according to the Department of Energy. As plants improve, processes improve, and the feedstocks improve, we expect that to go up to a 70 or 80 or 85% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions in the future. General Motors and the other Detroit-based automakers have pledged that 50% of our production in 2012 will be flex fuel or biofuel capable. Together with the ethanol industry, we are working to expand the number of E85 pumps and ethanol distribution across the country.
Our addiction to oil has created serious environmental, economic, and security issues for America. Ethanol offers an opportunity to start addressing these problems.
I think the public's strong support for renewable fuels in general has also played an important role. I believe people like this stuff. I believe virtually every American wants to see our nation cut its dependence on imported oil, especially oil drawn from unstable and even hostile parts of the world. And renewable fuels offer us one of the best ways, of course, to do that.
The Renewable Fuels Association is the voice and source for everything ethanol. Members of this trade association represent America's ethanol producers, marketers, suppliers, and others.
For 25 years, the Renewable Fuels Association has been a tireless advocate for ethanol producers. Your advocacy is paying off.
The RFA educates about the positive impact biofuels like ethanol have on our economy and environment. It also helps expand fuel ethanol produced in the U.S. to replace oil imported from foreign countries.
Ethanol is helping to revitalize rural communities today by adding 160,000 jobs across the economy. It is also helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the equivalent of taking 1.2 million vehicles completely off the road.
In addition, ethanol producers together with farmers are helping to fuel our nation.
Renewable energy is one of the great stories of recent years, and it's going to be a bigger story in the years to come. I like the idea of talking to people who are growing America's energy security. I like the idea of policy that combines agriculture and modern science with the energy needs of the American people.
From policy to technology, the RFA is assuring a growing and healthy renewable fuels industry well into the future.
We've worked with the Congress and the federal agencies to create a marketplace conducive to the growth of fuel ethanol across the country. The RFA is a producer-led organization. We have a technical committee that helps develop standards and practices for the industry. We have a cellulose committee that is looking at the future growth opportunities for fuel ethanol, and we're working every day on media relations to improve the image of our product across the country.
Using America's bounty to produce a gallon of ethanol instead of buying a barrel of oil abroad, now there's some food and fuel for thought.